So, with Kemba Walker being shipped to the Oklahoma City Thunder in exchange for Al Horford, Moses Brown, and a second round pick, alongside a first round pick, Kemba Walker was sent to OKC. We have a weird sort of timeline for both of these teams. In terms of what Boston gets, they get a guy in Al Horford who they probably should not have. They were a lot happier to let Al Horford go a couple years ago than they probably should have been. Even though Al Horford has not been a key piece to a good team in a while, the center position for the Boston Celtics has taken a big hit since Al Horford left. You see names like Daniel Tice, you see names like Enes Kanter, you see names like Tristan Thompson, Robert Williams. It really has not been able to be filled since Al Horford left, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that Al Horford not only was a great player on the court, both offensively and defensively. He probably is one of their top three players on both sides of the court when he was in Boston, but he was just a good locker room guy. He was a guy that a lot of fans loved in Boston. He was a good guy for anybody to root for, whether they loved the Celtics or not. Now, the Celtics also get a young, quality big man in Moses Brown, who, yes, playing in Oklahoma City probably was getting inflated stats because he really was the only big guy there who was getting a majority of the minutes at that center position. However, he does fill somewhat of a role that I think Boston wanted to fill with somebody like Miles Turner. And I think Moses Brown is a great addition to this team. He's young, he's athletic, he can block shots, he can run to the rim, he can grab rebounds. He showed a lot of things in Oklahoma City this year. And, I think it also shows something about the Boston Celtics about where they wanted to be with their roster shaping under Brad Stevens as the head coach. As we see already with Brad Stevens as the GM, he's moved on from Kemba Walker. He might move on from somebody like Marcus Smart. He might move on from somebody like Grant Williams or Tristan Thompson or Robert Williams in this offseason. And I think it's just a great move for Boston all around. Like I said, Al Horford, maybe he doesn't play for Boston, but I think even if you're just paying him whatever it is, like $20 million to be a third big man, maybe fourth big man, and be one of the better locker presences in the NBA, one of the best fan appreciated players in the NBA, one of the just best, guys to have in the locker room. I think that's just a great addition for Boston, no matter what the price tag is. Now, for Oklahoma City, there's probably no way that Kemba Walker ends up playing for this Oklahoma City team. I would assume that whether it's trading him for more first-round picks, whether it's just not playing him really a majority of next season, I don't know what Oklahoma City is going to be able to do because on one hand, they do have a lot of first-round picks that they could package alongside Kemba Walker to get maybe another younger guy, maybe trade him with a couple first-round picks to somewhere like Miami for somebody like Kendrick Nunn or maybe somebody like Precious Achiuwa or, just trade him with some first-round picks to get a younger player. Now, it's going to be hard because of the fact that Kemba Walker makes, I think, close to or over $40 million a year. On the other hand, they could just play him. They could just keep him. There's a good chance that maybe he does not affect winning, and it doesn't really affect Oklahoma City's chances in the lottery these next few years. We already have a track record with Kemba Walker in terms of him being the guy on a team. And I think even if he goes to this Oklahoma City team, he's not going to be anywhere close to the guy. Once this team is healthy, it's going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's team. I mean, even somebody like Alexei Pokusevski, or is it Alexei Alexander? Whatever his name is, Pokusevski, the 7-foot, 120-pound dude. This is not going to be Kemba Walker's team. If anything, he's going to be the third guy, maybe second guy on this team. And hopefully he can be a good locker presence as well for this Oklahoma City team. We see Oklahoma City fans love any single player that is on their roster, so I don't think that will be an issue. Really, this is just a addition by subtraction for the Boston Celtics because on any given night, they did not know if Kemba Walker was even going to be suiting up. And even if he was suiting up, they didn't know if he was going to be a positive contribution to the team. And at this point in Kemba Walker's career, I believe he's over the 30-year-old mark. And I believe, like I said, he's being paid close to, if not more than $40 million. And for a guy who at most is going to give you 20 points a game, at most is going to give you 5 or 6 assists and 2 or 3 rebounds, is not going to be a positive contributing factor on the defensive side of the ball, and is kind of going to be a ball stopper on offense. And especially when you look at a team that features 2 stars in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, it just wasn't a good fit. And we now look at this as possibly one of the worst moves of the Danny Ainge era in Boston. However, Oklahoma City does see some sort of value for Kemba Walker if they think he is worth trading a future possibly good center in Moses Brown. I think Moses Brown has a possibility of being one of the better just shot blocking, rim protecting, rim running bigs in the NBA. He's not really going to carve out a role in terms of being one of the best centers in the NBA. However, there is a spot for Moses Brown on any team in the NBA as some athletic young center who can just run well and be able to keep up with anybody on the court. And, maybe they're able to trade Kemba Walker for a young piece. Maybe they're able to trade him for more first-round picks. I don't know what is the future for Kemba Walker in Oklahoma City. I would assume it's not even close to what Chris Paul did for that Oklahoma City team, because Oklahoma City went to the playoffs with Chris Paul. They were one of the best teams in the West with Chris Paul, and with Kemba Walker, that's just not going to be the case. I don't know what is going to be the case with him. Hopefully they get some picks out of him. Hopefully they can get a young player out of him, but Oklahoma City definitely, their roster looks worse at the end of the day when they make this trade. Maybe that is the point of the trade. But their roster definitely gets diminished by this. They do get an extra first-round pick. I think I heard it's like 19 in the next 7 years or something like that. So there's an obvious point to this move for Oklahoma City, and there's an obvious point to the move for Boston. And I think for both teams, it's a really good move because it does add value for both teams kind of by subtraction. Oklahoma City gets off 2 guys that are probably going to be adding to winning more than anybody else on the roster. For Oklahoma City, maybe that's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but they're not trading Shai anytime soon. And for Boston, it's an addition by subtraction because of the fact that Kemba Walker really was not on the court as much as Boston wanted him to be. And now they get somebody better like Moses Brown and Al Horford back in the trade. That's kind of going to be the video for me. I don't really have much more to say on this issue. I kind of felt like it would be in my best interest to just make a video talking about how I felt about the trade. If you're a Boston or Oklahoma City fan, let me know what you think about the trade and what I said down below in the comments. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it. Any feedback from you at this point is much appreciated. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.